Hello and welcome. In this video I'm going to show you Himmler's field headquarters, which was built close to where Hitler had his headquarters at the Wolf's Lair in Rastenburg. This is the village of Pozesje, and I'm starting off here in the village itself just to show you. We have this wonderful old building here, which I imagine was once maybe an inn or something like that. Next to that we've got farm buildings. The building next to it is clearly, sorry, we've got the house, and then next to that we've got the barn. I'll take you over to the other side of the road, and you see we've got what appears to be more farm buildings. So this, very typical of not just East Prussia, but also I would say northern Bavaria as well. It's very similar. So we've got the road sign there, straight ahead to Kruklanki. I've forgotten the word in German now. Kreglenken, I think it is. Giżycko, which was Lützen, and Łomża, which was in pre-war Poland. So, as you can see, also to my right, we've got socialist era, communist era, I should really say, I think now, housing, and which mightn't look very attractive, but bear in mind that people have to live somewhere. Another thing, we've got information signs up all over the place. So here we have the route of the Masurian fortifications. Many of these were built for the defense of or Hitler, I would like to say. So the four things we've got here, so we've got Czarnoshaniec, which we're now going to see. That's where's the Himmler's headquarters here. We've got these bunkers, which are lots of them in the area. There's a church, and here is a sluice on the Masurian Canal, something I really ought to show you. So just gone 5, we've got the moon up there in the sky, and one thing that I find particularly attractive in Central Europe is the mist which you get in the early morning, which comes off the fields in spring, summer. And we have here an example of that right now in the fields to my left. Now, I've got a video. I was here 18 years ago, more than 18 years ago. I came here with David Irving, and I'll give you a link to that and you can compare what it looks like, because I found it difficult to recognize some of the things. There's so much new which has happened here. This is largely due to the investments which have been made in the intervening time, particularly in tourist infrastructure and lifestyle things. For example, we have down here exercise equipment and a very nice play area for children. We have a building over there which is for tourists. There's toilets there, there's information about cycling. So it's really, Poland has really come a long way in the intervening time. Nonetheless, having said all that, there are things here which Himmler, were he to return, would recognize, and that I shall show you. There's a brief look over. You hear that sound? That's a crane. Oh, here's the cranes. Oh wow, I'll bring it in closer. That is a common crane. Oh, that's great. Very impressive birds. I really like the sound they make. Oh, there's a little extra to this video. Now, I do like to show wildlife in the videos that I do. Okay, so I get back onto the road here. So on the other side of the road you can see houses which are from the 19th century, and so we'll come up to that in a moment. Now, Pozezcia had a population, I'm going off memory here, just around 2,000 people in 1939. In 1910 there was a population of 1,300, 60 names on the war memorial from the First World War, which you can see in a different video. And so you can see sort of rather typical of this house here of Masurian, or East Prussia, let's say, former East Prussia. I mentioned the tourist infrastructure, so you can see picnic tables, a place to sit and rest, and toilets as well. Now, there's a sign on the other side of the road. It says half a kilometre, former SS barracks, which I'll come over and show you. There, so it says there, and police of the Reichsführer Heinrich Himmler, and we've got a couple of drawings of the blocks. Okay, so on the right now we'll be coming into the car park for the Himmler's headquarters, Hochwald, and then we'll walk into the forest to do it. But first I want to show you something else about the wildlife. And so we're fortunate enough to see the common crane. Here you can see there's a sign up which says be careful of moose, uwaga na łosie. And it really is important to be careful of these, because when I go through forests I drive very slowly. Now, hitting a moose at speed won't do your vehicle any good, and probably won't do you any good either. I was staying at the place in June, and a road nearby there was somebody rather stupidly driving 180 kilometers an hour in a 90 kilometer area zone. But anyway, in a BMW, the moose came out of the forest, killed 2 people in the vehicle, and killed the moose as well. So anyway, so here's the car park. Now, when I was here the first time, we had to park on the side of the road, but there was more space then. You see it's being used by a couple of people in motorhomes. There's my vehicle here, and now we'll come into the forest. Now, the reason I showed you this, because this is on the main road, as you can see, between Giżycko and Węgorzewo, so formerly between Lürzen and Angarab. And so I know there'll be people saying, well, jump to 10 minutes and that's where the video starts. Now, it's also built next to a railway line. And the railway line was extremely important for moving around between Hitler's headquarters, Ribbentrop's, Lammer's headquarters, and the railway line was here at this point. Now, Himmler had his own private train called Heinrich, and he would have used that. On the 20th of July 1944, they had to get in the car. He got called and he had to get in his car and make a movement. So this is the railway line. As you can see, it's done up for as a walking route, a biking route, and that is something. That's something I think I'd like to do very much. We'll have a quick look at the map so I can actually place you. I don't think it'll mean much to you, but there we go. This is for bike travel, but you can see the large amounts of the lakes which are here. We are up here. Down here is Giżycko, formerly Lützen, and there was a major fort which was built here, and between, got the two lakes on either side, canals on the side of that, and that gave protection. The fort was built in the middle of the 19th century, and so it did hold up the Russian advance. So the Russians came along here in 1914, but they were held up at Giżycko. But you can see, very difficult to actually pass. What happened in 1945 though was different. Hitler went berserk when Lützen fell, and he sacked the commander Hossbach, and he said because it was so powerful. What Hitler didn't understand was what was a powerful fortification in the middle of the 19th century was not powerful in an age of howitzers. Not only that, unlike in the summer of 1914, the Soviets, I should say, crossed using the lakes, so they even outflanked, but they outnumbered the Germans probably by around 10-1 in this area. Now the Wolf's Lair is over here, and we also have other homes such as Ribbentrop and Lammers was over here. So and the headquarters of the army it's just off the maps over here at Mamerki. So I hope that sort of puts things in context. It'd be better if I used a proper map, of course, rather than that. So to return to the thing about the train, whereas in Pozesje didn't have a station as such, it had a stop. The Himmler had his own station. Now somewhere along here there should be a station itself. They had this, which I imagine was here. Where did the train wait? Because it was a pretty long train. It wasn't just like a one carriage thing. It was it had all sorts of things. It could even have two engines, two locomotives, or steam engines, 2 brake cars, baggage cars. There was living quarters, and all the rest. So it was these trains, these Sonderzug, were very important. Now there was 25 in the Third Reich, but this was something, actually, this was a hangover from previous times, because previous chancellors had had their own trains as well. So it wasn't something that Hitler sort of dreamed up, although the elegance, cost was no object to Hitler. Particularly wasn't his money, it was the German taxpayers' money, and so he wanted to live a life of luxury. On that subject, Himmler was noted for his Spartan lifestyle, but as you shall see, it might have been Spartan, but cash for his projects was always available. It needs to be pointed out he had a very luxurious place in Gmund in southern Bavaria. He also had 2 women on the go. He had his wife and he had his mistress, and he had his wife was probably paid for, her accommodation paid for by the SS. Some of these trees have been chopped down because of a disease. Oh, you can see it looking there. It's hollowed out the inside of the tree. They have to chop it down to stop it spreading. I don't know the name of the disease in English, otherwise I'd have said it. Now, you can see how close it is to the transport. So that's one thing of importance. And so, why didn't they just all build everything? It's the Wolf's Lair. They wanted to be next to Hitler. That's what happened at Berchtesgaden. It's Obersalzberg. They all bought up the side of the mountain and forced purchases. Martin Bormann arranged for it. One of the witnesses said that Bormann came up to her father, asked him to sell. He refused, and so he came back the next day and he said either his signature was on the sales form or he'd end up in a concentration camp. And that was before The Godfather was written. As you can see here, we've got a road. These bumpy roads, lots of stone cobbles. Don't even know if they're cobbles because all sort of different sizes. Some places visible, sort of there's not. Why did I come out so early in the morning to film this? There's a very good reason, and that is because of the mosquitoes are fewer. In as much as I can put clothing on, I can't. So to protect myself a bit, that's no, and also with clothing I can actually. I feel I'm not going to get stung by nettles and things. I've got long trousers on, so there's the two. I'm using, however, I do have put spray on, anti-mosquito spray, as I always do. A friend of mine produces some of the stuff which I've actually showed in other videos. Right, here we have some of the infrastructure to Hochwald. I'm unable to say what this is, what was here, but you can see there was something quite deep, and there's another. Maybe these were bunkers, maybe some form of infrastructure. I don't. Oh, that's a deep one. Oh, I can see the bottom. This is part of the problem, that people can fall in things like this. I'll walk back this way. I try to give the ferns a miss as much as possible, even though I sprayed myself. And I've got long trousers on, but I've twice had ticks. Twice. I've twice had Lyme disease, and ticks are noted for living under ferns. So I'm trying to give that a miss as much as possible. Now, I mentioned the fact that Himmler had a wife and a woman on the go. He had a child by his first wife. She died in 2018. And Gudrun Himmler. And he had two children by his mistress, a woman on the side, Hedwig Potast. Now Himmler, I've done videos on both. Now Himmler had this idea that men should have more than one wife, because women, the two then had to compete with each other for his affection. And so therefore he told Felix Kirsten, his masseur, that he would therefore that there would never be a hair out of place, food would always be ready, they'd try and compete with each other for the affections of the husband. So therefore bigamy should be allowed. That's his opinion. I need to make it very clear. Felix Kirsten was his masseur. He was roughly the same age, he's just a year younger than Himmler was, and he left a lot of accounts after the war, but he spoke with Himmler quite openly. Himmler was somebody, according to Kirsten, who didn't mind hearing a contrary opinion. And now, as far as Kirsten's concerned, we have to treat a lot of what he says very carefully. But I've got a feeling that some of the stuff he said about Himmler as he was in private, his opinions that he expressed in private, I believe that they may actually be true. So here we're heading now into the Hochwald. Now here, why did they have to build these places here? I mean, Hitler sort of made a joke about the army got the land cheap. It was built in order to for the campaign in the Soviet Union. So it was built here because the border with the Soviet Union was what, 100 kilometers or so from here, even less than that. So it was seen as a forward command post, and initially people like Himmler would have been living in country houses. There's a country house not so far from here. I went and photographed it yesterday. He also had a place which is today a resort called Hegerwaldheim, which is only about 15 kilometers I suppose, by road from here, something like that. And there are photographs from Hegerwaldheim with people like Chandra Bose, the Indian nationalist leader. The Mufti of Jerusalem was taken there. And so this is the first one of the bunkers. Now the big question is, why did they destroy them? And what was the point? These bunkers wouldn't have been any use to anybody. The amount of material needed. This was what was called a Category B shelter. It had 2 meters of reinforced concrete on the roof and was thus impervious to any bombs built or shells built that were made at the time this was built. Obviously there were bombs by the end of the war which were stronger. There were 7 of these structures. We'll see Himmler's in a moment. And here you can see, look, the reinforced concrete. Look, all of these years, and the metal, the reinforcement is still there. Here, one has to be careful going into things because of these things. You can miss them and then they sort of stick in your body, but then on the whole they're not sharp. So we have more structures down here, which I can take you to. Now, the thing is, we don't have a great deal of knowledge about what these places were actually used for, what happened here. Unlike the Wolf's Lair, now the campaign in the east was approximately 1,400 days, very approximately, Operation Barbarossa. Hitler spent over 800 days at the Wolf's Lair, and also from July of 42 to March of 43, he spent a great deal of time at Vinnitsa, or near Vinnitsa, at the called Werewolf, the place they had there. I understand that there are still bits of bunkers, but much less than what you can actually see here. Got a structure in the ground, bricks. And now, when I came here the first time, So it's like my third visit, because yesterday being the second. And I felt like an explorer in the Yucatan Peninsula in the 19th century, who found these Mayan pyramids which had been abandoned some 1,500 years, 1,500 years earlier. And you come up the forest and suddenly you got this structure here. This is Himmler's shelter. Look how big it was. I mean, one very good question might be, why didn't they just put these things underground? But I think it was because of they had the technology to actually give a lot of protection going up. I mean, nowadays it wouldn't work. You can see the air raid shelters in some places as well going up. You had these huge anti-aircraft defences in Berlin, for example, and in other cities. In Heilbronn, where I sort of half lived, there's a big anti-air raid shelter going up, coming up out of the ground. Now, just imagine though what the resources were to build these structures, and think also of the poor people in towns, as from Hamburg or Lübeck onwards, 1942, Lübeck, Hamburg, going to Magdeburg, Dresden, Würzburg. These hundreds of thousands of people caught in these air, or millions of people really caught in the air raids, but the death toll from air raids, hundreds of thousands, lives which could have been saved if these resources had been given to the people who were literally in the front line, and not the likes of Himmler, who here was well out of harm's way. Let's have a quick look in here. I've got a let's see if I can get the thing on. Alright, so you can see the roof here, and you've got to be very careful because you've got these things sticking out, as you can see, like that. I don't want to get fancy one of them stuck in me. Oh, spiders. And there was on the roof, it was covered by ceramics, and I'll turn that off. Ceramic tiles. Now these things were not built to be lived in. For living in, I mean, Himmler had a villa, a villa, nearby, or he had a couple of properties in the area, and so these places were built for protection. So entrance was via a door here, as you can see, which I think this originally was 80 centimeters wide, and you can see it's split down there, and we'll have a look inside. And so entrance was here, and to the left there'll be another door which took people into the heart of the shelter, the bunker. Now it wasn't like this then, obviously, because this is all collapsed. Here you'd have gone to another, and there would have been a door, a metal door further down, and there would also have been something that you often get in bunkers, which is pillboxes, which is sort of a machine gun pointing at the direction which we're now standing. No one knows I'm here, so I'm not going down there. And I won't be doing it off camera either. So I've stopped doing things like, well, I say I've stopped. I did it last month. I went into a tunnel off camera. without telling anybody where I was. Oi! So the door, in fact, actually possibly more likely to have been here than there. But there was only one door. I think this is the way it came down. Let's have a quick look in here. I know I said I wasn't going to be doing this. There you can see. I mean, it's very, very damp in here. And obviously, at the time when this was in use, it might even have been heated, so it wouldn't have been as bad. But there were those who talked of even the bunker, Hitler's bunker in Berlin, as being the atmosphere was very heavy, not just damp, but also you could hear the air conditioning working all the time, the hum of the motors. This is one of the reasons I don't really like air conditioning. So, oh, there you go. So here's the sign. It says land of the former army quarter, many ruins, wells and dugouts, holes. Zachovaj szczególną ostrożność. Be very careful. Naleśnictwo Borki, that's the place, that's the Forestry Commission. Naleśnictwo Forestry area, Borki. Now here, why were all these structures needed, or 7 structures plus lots of other structures? Well, there was a battalion of police. That's quite a lot of people, isn't it? But they also had to look after other areas such as the Wolf's Lair, the Army High Command at what's the day, Mamerki, and Ribbentrop and the others. Now, I brought up the subject of the luxury or lack of it. Now, Goering did have a place at the Wolf's Lair, but he never actually slept there, as far as we're aware. Well, he might have slept during the day, but he never spent the night there. He had a hunting lodge on Romington Heath, which is I would say about an hour's drive from here, something like that. Even there, it's not much difference, but between the travelling times today as then, many of the roads are very similar. Many, but not all. I'll put up some of my journeys around on other videos from my dash cam. You can see. Now, some of the people that were entertained here, well, Himmler didn't spend all, it wasn't like Hitler, as I said earlier, but he did have a number of guests that came here, including the Vlasov, who was the Russian Liberation Army leader. He came here in September, I think it was, of 1944. We have in this area, both the leader of the Polish resistance and Grot Rowiecki, and the head of the Polish Home Army, who, after surrendering at the end of the Warsaw Insurrection uprising, Bo Komorowski, they were both either here or in one of his houses. Himmler thought he could do a deal with Rowiecki in October of 1944. He left that a bit late, didn't he? Rowiecki completely refused. He said he's a prisoner of war and he's not going to talk about politics. But one of the important things, the decisions which was made, and we know this from documents which have survived, was that Himmler came up with the idea during the Warsaw insurrection. It would seem that they'd actually got some Home Army files, Polish Home or something, and they'd understood of the extent of how the Polish resistance had been organized, and as a result they decided to set up the Werewolf organization, which was the resistance, Nazi German resistance to they understood by September of 1939 what was going to happen, and so that was that was to be under the care of Prutzmann, I've forgotten his first name now, and Gottlob Berger, and of course nothing really happened with it. Having said that, no, they did make 1 or 2 attacks. They killed the Allied appointed mayor of Aachen, for example. Now, what about the Holocaust? What was decided here? Well, there is something definitely worth pointing out. It's Hegewaldheim on the 14th, or was it 16th? Can't remember the date now. 14th or 15th of January. 14th of January, I think it was. 1942, just before the Wannsee conference. Himmler had a pre-Wannsee conference meeting, and we know that Heydrich was there, we know that Kurt de Luge was there, we know that Ribbentrop was there, and that was a 2-day conference near here, and that was the forerunner of the Wannsee conference. In this case, what they were seeking to do was to, I think, set the framework for the Wannsee conference. Unfortunately, there's next to nothing's known about it. And this Hegewaldheim today, the buildings exists, and but it's a tourist resort. I've been thinking, it's not far from here. I'm just thinking if I should go there and film it or not. I don't know if that's the right thing to do in the circumstances. Now, what about the camouflage for this place? Because as you can see, it's hidden in the. Oh, what was that? Something there. You can see I've got these delusions of being a nature photographer, filmer as well. I'm interested in wildlife. Anyway, so this was protected from the air by even using things like plastic or other artificial means, leaves and things of this nature. They tried to use the nature, so trees could be planted on the top of bunkers and things of this. So it would have been the moss that you see there today, I believe, is something which, had you been here 80 plus years ago, you'd have seen it as well. I wonder how old this bridge is. As we come out here, we can see that the trees are much younger. So all the time though, you can hear the traffic on the road. Now, the question is about aircraft. How could Allied aircraft reach here? When this was built, no, they couldn't. Thing is, a lot after the air raid on Peenemünde, which destroyed the facilities there on 17th of August 1943. This place was considerably, they did a lot of work on it. Now, Peenemünde is, what, 500 kilometers from here? Something like that. I mean, that's air flying time. So that's like an extra 1,000. This, in theory, there were things that the liberators, I suppose, could reach here. Now, you may be thinking, well, as David Irving said to me, he said, well, yeah, but they reached Warsaw. But yes, they were based in the south of Italy. There were slow-moving Halifaxes which reached Warsaw. But this, again, is what? Flying time 300 plus kilometers from Warsaw, so double it, 600, because I'm going to have to fly back. I mean, Warsaw was at the very end of the range. Now, one of my teachers from school, who was in the RAF, he flew to Königsberg on a bombing mission. And now, if you could reach Königsberg, I don't know what date that was, but if you could reach there, then I suppose that this here was possible. But the amount of work that was done, built by the Organisation Tod, this was largely done when these places were completely safe from attack by Allied aircraft. But not, it needs to be very, very clear, places in Germany where there was civilian population were not safe. At the end of the war, Himmler was made head of Army Group Vistula. A bit of a joke, really, because he didn't know anything about it. Himmler was a hypochondriac, like Hitler, often claimed to be ill when he wasn't. And he spent a lot of time at Hohenlychen, the clinic there, under the charge of his protege, Gebhardt. I've done videos on Hohenlychen. I was there a couple of years ago. I'll try and put links to these things if I actually remember. And so he clearly, when he was in charge of this army group, he can't have been spending much time here at all. Now, this was briefly the location of the army headquarters was here, and it was the destruction that happened here occurred on the 25th of January 1945, and you can imagine that to destroy these huge bunkers, hundreds of kilos of material must have been used to do it. Remember, these were supposedly impervious to bombs and shells. And didn't they have anything better to do, these engineers? The amount of people that must have been used on them to do this destruction is phenomenal. So that's it. I've taken you around Hochwald. It mightn't seem very big, but bear in mind there were I mean, the barracks, for example, which were here, have the wooden barracks. They've gone. There will be some foundations, such as stuff like this. They're not foundations though, but there will be foundations for them in the forest, I expect. Many things were actually looted. I don't even know if that's the right word in these circumstances. The Soviets took just about everything they could, and there's a bridge near here, and the local myth is that the bridge was destroyed in September 1945 to stop the Soviets looting. I've now changed I did a video on it yesterday from their location, and I've now changed my mind. I think the bridge blew up because the explosives hadn't been removed and something triggered it. But anyway, it sounds quite good that they say something like this. Also bear in mind that the winter of 45-46 was very difficult. People were moved here. There were still people, Germans in the area, German people, and they were incredibly poor following the end of the war. The destruction of their businesses, their jobs, their ways of normally making money, the ways of means of producing food. And there were these people who had been effectively deported here, Poles from the east who arrived at places like this, and so times were very hard. So they took whatever they could. They came to places like this, and then they anything they could use would be used. They've got the camp in Gdansk, Mackow, Danzig, Mackow. Maczkowe in Polish, Gdansk Maczkowe, and there, for example, an enormous camp which was used as a prison camp for the SS, and today next to nothing can be seen. There's one or two buildings, but hardly anything left. And it was the locals who took things. Stutthof concentration camp, which was largely captured intact, but the locals, they needed to take these things in order to stay alive, and that's something I think one needs to bear in mind. So I'll try and do a documentary style video on this place, because as I walk around there's certainly plenty of stuff I've forgotten. I've forgotten some of the technical details on it. For example, I've written them down, and but I would like to say that as far as I'm concerned, I believe that history is all about tourism and seeing things, and I'd like to think that people could learn the lessons of the past, but they can't. I mean, that's utterly obvious. And but to come to something like this, I'm fortunate if I can travel around in a motorhome, but I mean certainly people can travel around by car coming to places like this in Poland. In the summer the weather is good. It's hot, but it's not too hot, and it's relatively economic when compared to other places. So these are all positive signs, in my opinion. So I mean, I really like to be able to do this, to get out, and as you can see, I'm doing a real history channel based on a real history. I'm coming to the places, I'm using genuine documents, and I know the languages. Even if I haven't got a very good presentation ability, and I haven't got a very good voice for it. But anyway, so I really do like doing that. I've got a bit of a problem because I'm trying to think what else I should do, because really I should go to the Wolf's Lair at Kentchen, at former Rastenburg. I should, but also I've got these other things here nearby, so I want to see, should I go to this resort, Hegerwaldheim. I mean, it's really close to here, but then again, putting up stuff related to the Holocaust, I don't want to do anything that might hurt the person's business. Because it's now life goes on. We've got the headquarters, Lammers. We've got the headquarters of Ribbentrop as well in the area. Also, we've got the Masurian Canal. Masurian Canal was built to link these lakes, which I showed you. And hey, look at this. And there are 10 sluices. 5 of them are in Russia, Russian border from here, so what, 30 kilometers, something like that. And the Masurian Canal linked the lakes that I showed earlier to the sea. And how isn't that outstanding? I saw something that this mist in Lithuania a couple of weeks ago. I stopped the vehicle. It was, I don't know, 6 in the morning. It's about getting on to 6 now. But isn't it? That's absolutely amazing, I think. It's so attractive. Anyway, so I want to go and see the Masurian Canal, and they've even got something, you can still see where the swastikas were on the sluice gates and things like that, which is quite unusual these days. And the thing is also, I've got to be in Dusseldorf in a couple of weeks' time. I've got some work to do before I get there, which hasn't been done. Oh, there's the sun. It's a pity about the sound of the road. This contact with nature, I find this really attractive. So that's a question what to do now. Lots have been said, particularly about Hitler's health during the Second World War, and particularly he was taking the cocktails of up to maybe 30 I don't know if we use the word drugs or not, compounds, let's say, a day. And it's said that it's because of the atmosphere that existed at the Wolf's Lair not being very healthy. Now, if he was in these big bunkers, then yeah, I suppose maybe not. He was in the bunkers because he was frightened, he was scared. But you know, this here is a very attractive area. The secretaries complained about the boredom, which was even worse when they went to Vinica. But I think that was due to a large extent by the fact that they couldn't really get out. The Wolf's Lair was, incidentally, it was built because they claimed it was to be used by a chemical company. Didn't say Hitler was coming there, but it's also said that there were locals who saw Lammers, Himmler and Goering on horses. If that's true or not, if they did genuinely see these people, I don't know. There's a look into the forest. The new day. So right, I'm now taking you back up to the railway line. That video was 1 hour. If you've actually managed to be with me for an hour for the length of this video, then congratulations. It's even longer than the video I did on Karenhal, Hermann Goering's place, which I did was about 40 minutes. I found this actually doing this, being here, coming here, that for me it's really interesting. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching. I'll give you a final view of the forest from here. Pozestia in Poland. I'll do I'll say a longer, probably won't be a longer, I'll do a documentary type video eventually. I upload every day at 2000 hours. Most of my videos are quite short, but there's a longer video on Fridays and sort of a medium one on a Tuesday. That's the plan at the moment. I have set a program for the next 2 years, so videos for the next 2 years have been actually completed. For those who are interested, I have a premium service which is either €5 or €6 a month. I can't remember which one it is. And for that, currently there's more than 730 videos in there. Admittedly, most of the videos in there are short, but there are 1 or 2 long ones as well. But anyway, for the moment, from me in Pozestia, thanks very much for watching. All the best. Bye for now.